Hi, welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 11.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Brian.
I'm Adam.
Andrew.
And before we get started, we'd like to invite you to join us on Twitter, follow us at Meeples on Meeple, and Facebook, Meeples on Meeples. This week, our game of the week is Stone Age.
Stone Age is what you call a worker placement game. At the beginning of each game, you're given, I think it's 5 meeples each of different colors, red, blue, green, and yellow, I think. And you use those meeples to gather resources, gather food, and bring resources in that you essentially use as kind of your money during the game. You can gather wood, brick, stone, or gold. You know, from wood being the easiest to gather, gold being the hardest to gather. And you use those resources to buy either these cards or these little placards right here. And these cards and little placards are the things you use to score points. You probably can't see it in the video, but up in the corner here there's a 13. Other cards have different numbers on them. Those numbers are added together at the end of the game, and you place your marker around the edge of the board on the number that you end on, your final score, and that's basically just how you see who wins. One of the interesting things about this, though, is that you don't just use your people to gather resources, you also have to take care of those people. So you have to be sure to go to the hunt and get food, because at the end of every round you have to feed your people. And if you can't feed your people, you lose points at the end of the game, and I think it's 10 points each time, which can be a pretty big deduction when it comes to the end of the game, so you don't want that to happen. There's a few other places besides going after food and resources. You can go and gather tools at this spot on the board. You can create another meeple for you to use, another person to gather more resources, or you can go to the harvest. And when you go to the harvest, only one person can go there each round, and those people, every time you go there, you move up on this little food tracker here. Now the benefit of this is that every number you go up here, that's one number that you don't have to provide for food for your people. So if you're at 6 here and you need to feed, provide 8 pieces of food for your people at the end of every round, you'd only actually have to give them 2 because you'd get 6 automatically. Besides that, each player is also given this little placard here that they keep in front of them, and it is a resource that allows them to see how much each resource is worth, but also keep track of the cards you get to score points. I think that's about it.
That's a pretty good explanation. This
Pay no attention to what's going on in the background, that's all I can say.
Yeah, crawl it on the floor.
Somebody just showed up, so anyway.
Army crawling
This game is set up for families. It's a fairly easy gameplay. Ages on the box is suggested
13 and up.
13 and up.
I think it could easily go underneath that.
Can any of you think of a reason why it would be 13?
Yeah, you're making babies. Are you kidding me? If you have not had the birds and the bees
conversation, yeah.
Forgot about that.
Well,
babies.
but I think the only reason it's 13 up.
Wait, why do you need 2? Is it?
Some of these. You told me a stork brought it, Dad.
Yeah, it was
Some of these.
guy with glue and duct tape and.
Some of these.
Okay, my God.
Some of these are a little hard to understand, so there's some explanation in reading the cards, but I think that a lot of younger children...
I think you could get a smart 10, 11, 12-year-old.
Yeah,
I do remember
not overly complicated.
the first time Adam was explaining it to us. I don't believe you were there. It was us 3 the first time. And I just remember glazing over at the rules, and then after one round, I was like, "Oh, this is like super easy."
You do that every time somebody does rules.
Well, yeah, but it was like even you said it sounds way complicated. It's not, and it was like
yeah.
piece of cake.
One time around, everybody picked it up. It sounds a lot
Absolutely.
more complicated than it is. The hardest part is the scoring at the end. I think trying to figure out. I have all these things. What does that mean for me? But once you do it, once you play it through once, I think you got it pretty well figured out.
Absolutely.
As far as components go on the game, everything is made from a pretty heavy cardboard. This placard is, the board itself. It's not a separate board, it's one that folds out, so it's not going to be warping and not sticking together.
The items themselves are made out of wood, cut differently, painted differently, so you can tell what each unique item is that you're trying to
You can recognize them by shape for those who are colorblind, like Ian, who's not here right now. But
The guy that was crawling behind us.
and they're cut the prop. The wood. It looks like it's a little bit longer, like a log. You got the brick, looks like a red brick. Or clay, I guess. The stone, it's kind of an octagon shape. The gold looks like a gold bar, actually. I mean, it's really high quality components. The meeples are a nice wood shape. They're kind of unique.
Made from the same material, just cut to look like a meeple in different colors.
It looks like it's actually oil painted, the board itself.
It's
very nice. It's not extremely pop and colorful. It's
but it matches the tone.
Yeah.
And really like the fact that wherever you go, like where you'd go for the wood, is surrounded. It's like a forest. It's painted like a forest. Where you go for the clay, they're digging up the clay. The mountains for the stone, and then here in the river and the waterfall, if you were like panning for gold or whatever. So it just, I don't know, it just kind of matches the theme. It pops enough, I think.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, it's very nice. It's just not really brilliant and bright, and
True.
some games are like that, or over the top and things like that. And this is not one of them.
And it's nice that the player
natural.
card actually follows that same thing. It's the same kind of art style, so it's really nice. And these player cards are actually great too because you can see how much each resource is worth, so you know how much, I guess.
Got that cheat sheet aspect to
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of like
very cool.
you know how much money you have in some essence, but also has places to put your little scorecards that you're gonna use to add up for your final score at the end. So it's really a nice setup.
And it has sections where everything would fit perfectly. The way these are cut, I mean, there's a spot just the right size, so you can see where you would put everything for your tools over here. It's pretty cool.
And the meeples are also cut out real well. They look unique. They're unique to this game. I mean, they're not your
They have
traditional.
hair or something, I believe, don't they?
Yeah, they kind of have a hair
Different
cut
cut
out.
around their hair.
It looks like they have dreadlocks.
That's
There we go.
Like their hair's all matted.
That's what I was
together.
thinking.
Which is pretty decent. Should we talk about strategy next?
I can be honest, I really usually don't have a strategy going in.
You know, that's. I'll say it right now, and it'll come out in the reviews. I'm not a big fan of this game. Part of it is because strategy doesn't really. It matters a little, but not very much.
No, I disagree. The problem is you can't start with a strategy because everything's hidden underneath another one. So you can't say, I'm going for tools, or I'm going for...
You more or less build your strategy as you play.
Because you don't know what's going to pop up.
But the strategy is haphazard. I mean, I don't even think you can do it halfway. At the end, you look down and you say, oh, I guess I have this.
You can. Like, last game, I fell into...
I definitely think that's true.
I started getting tools, and I got about to the third round, and I realized I'm getting a lot of tools. So I started going after the workers,
Well, that's what I mean.
the tools.
It's just haphazard.
It worked well.
Well, yeah, but it's not.
Every game I have developed a strategy, and not to brag, but of the 6 games, I think I've won 3 that I've played. I know sometimes we play when other people are here, but
this to make sure.
Yeah, we're gonna be tallying.
it might be 7
Out of the 12 games we play, and I won 9 of them.
No, I'm
I
7
played
for
6. I won 8 in them.
Yeah, but the first one it was that tool strategy where I got 2 tools and I realized, you know what, I see another tool coming up over there, and I also found a good strategy is to play it cool. Don't be like, no, you got it, because then they know what you're going for. I mean, you have to play it very cool, because the next time a tool comes up, just casually bid on that.
And it's not a real fast-paced game either, so if you start getting too excited about it, everybody's going, the heck is he going for? Oh, yeah, okay, yep.
Compared to all the other games we play, that's one thing I actually like about this. It's kind of a laid-back game. So we play a lot of games where you're constantly having to watch the board and make sure, who's doing what, and you make sure that you're up to date on what's happening. This is a game where you can kind of just sit back,
To me,
talk with a friend.
Yeah, to me,
It's
that
just
is
a
a
relaxing
conversation.
game. Yeah.
To me, that is a negative of this game, is that there is no interaction on the board. There is none. My strategy is based upon me. I don't care what you do.
Don't you think you need that every once in a while in a game?
To me, it bores
kind
me. To me, it's
for instance,
like
if you have a game of
against the table is as much fun. I get more
Let me find
interaction
out.
out of that. Well, I get more interaction out of that.
That's why I like this game, though. It's almost like you're racing against yourself to see how much you can get, because you don't really know unless you're adding it up every time how much you really have until the end.
But see, that's just it. There's no interaction with this game. It's I'll do what I do, you do what you do. It's like playing solitaire in a group.
I think it's completely different. I think you not only need it.
They all go out once in a while and they get in the courtyard and they hang out for an hour a day. I don't see anything wrong with this.
To me, I think it feels like solitaire in a group. I'm doing my own thing. I really don't care what you're doing.
Yeah, but it's a good palate cleanser. It's a good. Let's say you play a game of Gears of War, for instance, and you need something afterward to kind of relax.
Well, but my
happened with us.
But to me,
True story.
but to me though, that's missing something. I mean, it's a solitaire game. I could play this by myself without anybody because my strategy doesn't depend on what you're doing.
The interaction comes in when. So, I agree. There is not a lot of interaction, but where you put your it's about making decisions. While
it's
having
solitaire.
It's
solitaire's about making decisions.
But you do
somebody
affect
else
each
talk,
other,
or you're just gonna keep repeating
There
the same
has been
thing.
many instances where I've seen the gold down to like 3, and then like 2 or 3 of us are up there. Well, if somebody gets 2, and then I roll for 2, I'm SOL.
Yeah, you can only get the one, so that's all it's there. And you're
And I've had
limited
that
on
happen.
you're limited on resources you can get too because there's only a number of places, so you got to kind of be competitively place your character.
I don't think it's about the competition, as I was trying to say. I think this game is about basically the decisions you make and carefully choosing where you're going to put your people, when you need to, keeping track of your food.
Yeah.
So it's like, look out for my tribe, but what my tribe can do kind of depends on where you place your tribe. So it's light strategy, it's decision making, and
But decision. See, when I
it's
played
careful
this,
planning.
and I've won this. The first time we played it, I won the first game, and at that time I
no,
thought
we
this.
didn't. I won the first game.
I won the very first. I won the very first game.
My dog may have won the first game, actually.
He's now won 8 out of the 6 games he's played.
And my point was, I really didn't care what you did because eventually that counter's going to come around to me, and I can do. There's no bad position. There's nothing else that you can do. It's solitaire. Yeah, you're right. You do have to make a decision on your turn, but it has nothing to do with you, Jew.
It's look out for number one. It's all about my tribe and feeding my
it's
people.
It's not even looking out for number one. I don't even care what your tribe does in this.
Yeah, but what if you're going for this and I get the resources first for that?
I can go somewhere else. It doesn't matter.
But what if you built up your resources specifically for that? Because I've done that. I built up my resources for a card, and then somebody goes, "Screw you!"
How many
For
times
instance,
has that happened? Though?
what if you?
It happened a couple times last game.
It's just not. There's not a lot of.
What if you went all in for clay? If you can see this, you need 2 clay, and you would need a clay. You go all in for clay. Somebody else snatches this. That just had a major impact. I have this
there's
clay.
1 clay there. I have
No, clay can't help me here, which is worth the most points, 13 points.
I can use it here. I can use it on one of those cards. There's no bad move. It doesn't really matter. What you've done doesn't matter.
There are better moves,
but it doesn't
and you
matter.
can take the better move.
There is strategy. It's playing your. It's once you find what your strategy is, it's playing to that every time and not letting and playing. Not
last I checked, this game is in the top 50, I believe. On board game. It was in the top 30 at one point. It might still be there on Board Game Geek. And I mean, to completely write it off is.
I'm not completely writing it off. I'm just saying
millions
that
of people can't be wrong.
I'm just saying that it's there's no competition. It's like playing solitaire in a group, and just like in solitaire. Solitaire is the same game where I have to play my resources properly as well, but I don't have any competition.
I gotta throw something. This or Manhattan Project?
Manhattan Project, because I can screw you. There's interaction. I can
But
play
you
on
can do
your
that in
cards.
this game.
But I can play on your cards.
You know the
I can block you. And on Manhattan
But I
Project,
can play this in 1 hour.
So
I
what
need
Pat
a
wants
weekend
is
for
the
Manhattan.
slap feature where you just reach across the table and slap somebody and steal their card.
With Manhattan Project, I can
We're
leave
on
my
something.
characters on the board because everyone on this takes them off at the same time. I can leave my characters on the board and screw you for several rounds.
But you know what's different? This is fun. Manhattan Project sucks.
That's very true.
See, I like Manhattan Project because I can screw you. Direct interaction.
Anyways,
There's
Focusing
no
it, I think at this point we're getting to the ratings, so we know what you've given it.
Well, no, I haven't given it a number yet.
You're done.
I haven't given it a number yet. Are we going to do ratings next?
Remember, Pat, there's no negative numbers.
No, I'm not going to do a negative.
We've talked about components, we talked about strategy.
Besides his negative, does anybody else have a negative on this game? The one thing where, even if however much you like it, is there one thing that just maybe rubs you the wrong way?
It is very slow paced, and a lot of the time you can, sometimes I will forget to pay in my food, and I'll do it my next round, because I'm like, I forgot to pay in 3 food or whatever. Things like that, where you're sitting there with this, and then you pull the card, and you're doing this, and then you get your resources, and then it's like the next person's turn, you're like, oh crap, put all my stuff out there. It is very laid back and it's easy to forget things, but that would be my one major complaint.
Mine would
if
be-
you're not on top of yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody else is really watching out for
Mine would be playing with him.
Well, for the grief we give him, he's got a legitimate point that there's not tons of interaction, but it's kind of nice to have a laid back and we can just sit here, shoot the breeze, and hang out like friends. There are some games where you're so busy constantly thinking. Station, you mean?
Station.
But there's
the movie game.
There's some times you're so into what your strategy, what you're going to do next, that you don't have time to just enjoy game night with your friends.
Yeah.
And this totally lets you do that. So the lack of interaction, the laid-back style is also kind of a benefit.
Well, it's not an extremely long play. What is 60 to 90 minutes? I think we've even gotten the game in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever hit over half an hour, hour and a half for sure.
No.
So,
Yeah, it's
So
just slow.
I think we're probably getting our review,
Okay.
so start with you.
I'll start.
1 to 10. 1 is terrible. 5 would be our average. An okay game. 10 is amazing. You should definitely put it in your collection.
I give it a 5. Basically the same thing. As I said, there's no interaction. It's very slow. Strategy is a second thought in this. It's more like I'll just put my people there, put people there. There's very little strategy in it. It's a second part of this game. It's more like a solitaire with pieces. I just don't find it as enjoyable. I mean, I don't complain when it comes out. I've never said, oh no, I won't play it. It's just not for me. I just think it's 5. It's there. I'll play it when it hits the table, but by no means am I going to ask to play it.
I would say by no means it's like the most amazing game ever, but I'd give it a solid 7. It's competent. It looks really pretty. It plays quickly. It plays well. With lots of ages, I think. Like we said, the 13, I don't know if things quite that complicated. You can play it probably as low as even 9, 10-year-olds. My drawback would be it only plays up to 4. Our game group is 5, so it hits the table when somebody's not going to be there. Well, last time I wasn't there actually, because I do enjoy the game, but I would say a solid 7. It is a good game. I think the theme matches the gameplay enough. You know, you're getting resources that your tribe would need. The scoring is kind of goofy. Oh, because I got this hut, suddenly I get 11 points. The scoring does not tie into the gameplay at all. It's just a cheap trick to have so you can declare a winner at the end. But no, it's a good game. I like it. It's fun.
Oh, side note though, I would say that the scoring on these is a little bit because it takes more. Like this one here takes one wood, yada yada yada. But it's easier to get the certain resources.
It's always easier.
So it's always get the higher number.
Yeah.
So the harder the resources are.
If it's like a gold card, you're gonna get a higher number, but
True.
gold's hard to get.
So
But
they
still,
do
if
affect
it
a
has
little
wood,
bit.
it's always easy to get wood, so it's always going to be a lower
Yeah.
number, and
It always ends up being a gimmick, though. The scoring is what it kind of comes out.
Yeah,
to.
a little bit. Yeah,
But
it is
I
gimmicky,
like
but
that light game, relax, chill, hang out with your buddies.
I'm gonna go probably a little high for everybody. I'm actually gonna give this a 9. I really, really, really like this game. One of the main reasons I like it is
I got to
this.
pick up cards, so we give that a 9 too, please.
Whatever. One of the main reasons I like this
got 4 of them.
is that this game is one of the few where we've never had to bicker really over the rules. Like the rules are so simple, maybe not simple, but
I would say
just
simple.
work. And it's one of those games where you can sit, you can play it. No one's gonna fight you over this little technicality in the rules. The components are really nice. The one downfall I would give you is probably actually the score. It is kind of a gimmicky thing. I got 12 points. Why? I mean, who really cares?
Because I have this card that tells me
Yeah,
so.
I got 12 points. That's it. But one of the main reasons I give it the highest score is because while I do enjoy some of the more in-depth games we play that really, require you to stay really involved, I like a game on a Saturday where we can just come, we can sit and play this for an hour, hour and a half, sit and talk, have a good time, and not feel... Because there's certain times we'll finish a game and I'll feel kind of, stressed almost. Because you were so involved in the game.
Or it's too early. It's like, you don't need to go home now. We have about an hour, hour and a
It's
half.
another good game for that.
Pop this
I say
out.
it's a good relaxing game.
I do have a question. You just said that the scoring was gimmicky, but that's what you said that your strategy was behind. So doesn't that make strategy a gimmick in this as well?
No, actually it doesn't.
Because that's what your strategy is about. If this scoring is gimmicky,
My
your
strategy is what I'm going to gather.
well, yeah, but that's to
Yeah,
gather
don't
the
ask me
piece.
why having 12 or whatever,
No,
how
that's what
many
I'm saying.
tools gets the points, but
It
the
gets back
strategy
to
is...
my point.
No, but the
So
strategy
anyway,
is...
I
I know it gets you
also
points.
We'll go with him.
give it a very high score. I'm gonna give it a 9.
2 9s, really.
2 9s.
Good game.
But
I like it,
honestly, we played, and it was weird because we didn't have to pull out the rule book because I just remembered all the rules. And I don't remember anything. You can vouch. All these guys can vouch.
This
He's
is one of
also
those
the one
games
who
where-
spells everything in our credits, so...
This guy, I'm the dumb one in the group. Don't worry about
You
it.
can get this game out 4 weeks later and know the rules and just
Yeah,
play it.
it is. It's just
True.
super simple. It's nice. It's light. I always have fun playing it because I feel like I'm competing against myself, even though I am competing against everybody else. So I'm kind of self-involved with that. But you can carry on a conversation. It's light. Like I said, the only downfall is sometimes I forget to pay resources, or you're not really paying attention. And you're like, oh, my turn again. Because you're
And
in
it
a
is
conversation. But
kind of easy to tune out when it's not your turn. That's
It
kind
is-
of a
it
little
is,
bit of a
and
drawback,
that's-
too.
Yeah, but otherwise, the components are very nice. It doesn't really split apart. Nothing flies across the table. I don't know if we've ever really used the cup for the dice or
No,
not.
but it's got a leather dice cup that some people complain smells funny.
I don't think it's
If you
real.
want
I
a
don't know.
board game...
Anyway, I'll give it a 9
It smells
because
like
I just
A-cup,
enjoy
man.
playing it every time, and I know
Not
I've
gonna
played
tell
it
you
5 or
what
6 times, and I've never had a complaint and never had a bad time playing it. So.
So it's a solid 9.
What are we gonna? No. And that means solitaire gets a 10 from these
So,
two, just so that we know where that's
no,
at.
not at
So what's our game for next week before we sign off here?
Next week, we're going to be looking at Betrayal at House on the Hill, just in time for October, Halloween, get some horror games out on the table, so...
Good choice.
Check it out.